Welcome in, Christian Gokel here alongside the head football coach for the Benedictine Cadets, Danny Britt, just playing catch up a little bit after spring ball wrapped up and looking ahead at what the summer holds for the 2025 version of the Cadets. Coach, first of all, I'd say let's talk about the last couple of months. Once guys start getting towards graduation and you got the juniors rising to seniors and incoming freshmen, I know just a lot of work for you guys, both in the recruiting, getting guys off to their schools, but also guys coming in. What do the past couple of months look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's been very busy actually. Like you said, a lot of recruiting going on. I think just during spring practice, I think we posted it's like 52 schools have come through uh, just during that time. So a lot of recruiting going on. The guys have been working really hard in the weight room. We never, other than the breaks from school, we never shut it down this year. So they were 3 days in the week, 3 days in the morning before school a week, getting after it in the weight room. That includes then they're going to school all day. They're having their weightlifting classes too, which we of course change a little bit when they lift in the morning, and then almost all of them were in other sports, which we love. So kids have been very busy. The coaches have been very busy getting ready for spring practice, and then of course last Friday, we closed out spring ball.
And Coach, I'm curious. I know a lot of people say, wow, football has really become 365, but I feel like in the South, it's always kind of been 365. How much of it all has it changed for you schedule wise over the past 15, 20 years?
It has changed. I think it's become more. It's more time consuming. If you're not lifting the entire year, you take a couple of breaks, obviously Christmas and spring break and that sort of thing. But if you're not doing that, you're behind. The recruiting has just changed tremendously. There's so much that the internet, the huddle, all those things have just really ramped it up, and so it's just constantly, dealing with that. And of course, we've got some really good players that helps too to make it, more time consuming. But it hasn't changed overall. I mean, I've always been in a football program that, you understood that, after the season, as soon as you got back in January, you were going to be lifting and, you were going to do things getting ready. But it has amped up more and more as the years progress.
Well, you guys just wrapped up spring practice. I know usually very valuable couple of weeks as you get to get guys back in some pads and see just the very raw beginning of what the team's going to look like. But as you guys entered spring ball, what were your goals?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just getting better at some very specific things, some very fundamental things. Introducing those, at a higher level to some younger guys. The next thing was seeing those younger guys. I know what Bubba Frazier can do. I didn't really need to see that. Of course, we worked him and all of that, but I wanted to see what the younger guys could do. The entire offensive line is predominantly either new or younger guys, and seeing who that is and how the best fit is. We have a number of guys. I think it's 12 guys, kind of battling for those five positions. So, seeing who could come out on top after spring with that, and then kind of spotting out a few places, in the secondary. Just John Black, we had penciled in for him to take over for Zach Maxwell, and see what he could do. He's very talented, rising sophomore, and wanted to see what he could do. And a number of other guys that just either are really young or just haven't had the opportunity to play a lot.
And Coach, I know it's easy to kind of look. I think, especially in college and in high school, is
Sorry.
like look at the new thing, right? The new guy who's come on the team and get excited about that, and you kind of take for granted the guys you already have. And we've seen Bubba Frazier play as well as anybody in the state of Georgia now for a couple of years. But I mean, you see the dude outside of pads, and it just looks like he could have been great in any era of football. And I'm excited, I know, to see what it looks like when he finally puts everything together and we see the ultimate Bubba Frazier. I know for you guys, though, that's a challenge because you have to find ways to utilize that.
Yeah, definitely. And he's very athletic, very tough. He's right at 180 pounds now, and it's all muscle, believe me. So he's gained weight. and really, really killed it in the weight room. So we're excited to be able to use him, and it will be, Coach Phillips will, put a lot of different things into play to use him as much as we possibly can, and then of course he'll be a factor in the return game, and I'm planning on using him some at cornerback as well.
I was going to ask. I know it's hard in high school to keep a guy like that off both sides of the field. We saw Travis Hunter do it in college last year. How much of it is just trying to keep him fresh for the games that matter the most? And could we see him play some significant snaps on defense?
Yes. So he, all of the above. I think at the beginning, you have to have other people who can play that position. Certainly the first few games of the year. It's so hot. It's, they're still not in playing shape. He can't, you just can't do it. Not at the level that we want him to do it. So, you have to have other guys, but as the season progresses, we'll use him more and more. As the temperature is cool, we'll use him more and more. And, like we did a number of years ago with Quan and Justin Thomas, we had other guys starting at that position. In fact, other guys started at that position in the state championship game, but they, in the toughest of times, those two guys will be in the game.
And I know you guys got some guys that you're very excited about that'll get their first chances to put on BC uniforms this fall. I know some guys that were with the program but weren't eligible to play last year, some guys who are rising freshmen, and then some guys who are coming in for their first year.
Yeah, we do. We have a number of guys that are coming in, and of course, it's been, everybody knows about LaDamian Guyton, and he had a good spring. We held him out of contact, for an injury he'd had, from last year, and just it felt like it wasn't, necessary. But, he looked really good in the things he could do. And it's a beautiful, beautiful kid. And he's excited to really, get a part of this team and show what he can do. So Carlton Hall is back. He got injured, obviously, the first, 6 plays of the season last year. And he has worked so hard. I'm so proud of him. He's worked with Coach Livingston for months and months and months. He was out there moving. Of course, we held him out of contact, and he will be fully released by the time we get to camp. And I'm excited for that. Colin Ward transferred in the last semester here, offensive lineman that had played really well against us for Wayne County, and he's super excited to be here, and he'll make a big difference for us on the offense and defensive line.
I know one of my favorite parts about just covering high school football is watching the guys who only get in for like 4 or 5 plays as a young guy, and then the coming seasons they're just going to be bigger and bigger parts. Who are some of those guys that played spot roles last year that you think are going to play significant snaps?
Yeah, I mentioned John Black last year. Earlier last year he was a freshman that he laddered on special teams, and unless it was just an out of reach situation, he wasn't playing offense or defense. We've got him penciled in as coming back and starting at that corner for Zach Maxwell. So really have big expectations for him. Jameer Lee, who did play a good bit as a freshman last year, expect an even bigger role for him, this year. Jaden Houston, Coach Houston's son, who played on special teams and would come in, spotting occasionally at linebacker, really had a good spring, I felt like, and kind of solidified that starting role as an inside linebacker beside Larson Little. So just a number of those guys. Aaron Mallard, who can absolutely fly, did some things and had some big plays in big games, but it wasn't, consistent starter and that sort of thing. We expect him to really play a bigger role this year and what he's doing. Just a number of those guys that have done things in the past, but, we expect them to have a much bigger role this year.
I'm going to ask you the question that I know it's the one that keeps you up at night. And I know you had a Ron Mallard out there. He can absolutely fly. Bubba Frazier, Stanley Smart. But the fourth part of that 4x4 is your quarterback, Stephen Cannon. And the dude can dunk. He can fly out on the track. And I know he can move on the football field. But we saw last year, goes out with an injury, and that affected heavily the rest of the season. How are you guys planning on balancing that out? He's such a threat with his legs, but you got to keep him healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't, with an athlete like that, you can't pin him in. I mean, you've got to let him be an athlete. And he got hurt, and it was a straight drop back pass, and just,
Yeah.
the guy just cleaned him up from the backside. So it wasn't like a run play. So we're going to run him some. We're going to, I think the biggest thing with him is give him the ability to run when necessary. Also give him the tools to know, how to slide and how to get out of bounds and that sort of thing. And he did a good job of that last year. So, we want to make sure he does everything in his power to stay healthy. But football is a physical game, and you can't play scared, and we're not going to play scared.
I'm not saying you got to play him at strong safety like Chromahawk, but definitely see him on downhill runs.
I didn't even. He asked me first practice. He said, "Coach, because we'll cross over. We have primary, and then we'll cross over for most of the guys need to have that ability to play the other side of the ball." And he said, "Coach, you want me to come to DB?" I said, "No, you can stay with Coach Phil."
Yeah, you're all right. You stay over there in the pod. I appreciate that.
Stay over there, buddy.
That's it. Coach, we're going to take a quick break, say thank you to a sponsor. We'll come back and talk about what we got going on the rest of the summer. We'll be right back after this.
Criminal defense, family law, child custody, DUI, and divorce. When so much is on the line, you need expert legal representation. The one to call is Savannah's own Jonathan V. Dunn, PC, attorney at law. Voted the Thomson Reuters super lawyer consecutively since 2023 and an Avo top attorney rating of 9.7. You can count on Jonathan V. Dunn to leave no stone unturned to deliver the justice you seek. Contact 912-200-9352 or online at jvdattorney.com.
Now, Coach, you guys now in the summer month, kids out of school. I know this is a scary 60 days. Oh, we might have lost Coach. Let's try to get him back in. I'm just going to hang out here, talk to you guys for a second, say thank you to a couple other sponsors while we try to get Coach back in.
Coastal Living, Parker Scott Properties, with commercial, residential, and rentals. Make the call. 912-661-6142 or go to parkerscottproperties.com.
All right, I think we got Coach back with us now.
Yeah,
there we go.
Sorry, I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
Oh, you're good. I was saying, I know these couple of months when the kids are out of school, it can be a worrisome time for you guys. I know there's a plan, and you guys are going to get back into some practice before we get back into school, but the freedom, guys out there having a good time. I wonder if y'all have the same rule our coaches had, which was the no wheels rule. We were not allowed to be on anything with wheels during these months or during football season.
Yeah, no, I'm not that specific. I just, try to remind them to be very careful and understanding that, if they get injured or, something happens that, it's going to be very hard for them and it will hurt the entire team. But I don't worry about that stuff as much. I worry about them doing stupid things like, getting in trouble with the law or anything like that. So that's what we talk about more is trying to avoid that and keeping each other away from all of that.
Absolutely. And I know coming up, you guys have some stuff lined up. What does the schedule look like for these next 60 days for you guys with the team?
Yeah, so starting Monday morning, we'll be back in the weight room and back on the field. We'll go 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday for all of June. And, that's pretty much the work they're doing for football for us, 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday. And, so that they can play the other sports in the afternoons, have a summer job, whatever. And then, of course, a number of kids, this is the time they'll be doing a lot of camping and stuff in June, going to football camp, trying to get recruited. So that's all of June, and we'll take the dead week of July 4th off. And then when we come back from that, right back in the weight room, 8 and on the field, 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday. The skill guys will go to passing league, invitational in Hoover, Alabama, hustle up 7v7. And so we'll go to that for 3 days and come back, have another full week of conditioning and that sort of thing. And then we'll start our, mandatory helmets only practices at 6 a.m.
I know for fans, it feels like after that last game in December, it's like 5 years until the next game that comes up. And for you guys, it's got to feel like a blink of an eye where you're like, all of a sudden we're getting ready for that next season over and over again. For your coaches, how do you manage them and not let them get burnt out and kind of enforce, hey, when we have the days off, take them?
I really try to help them with that and not, I try to do most of the, going out and seeing people and handling things like this week. I just handling different kids and different grade stuff we had, and I tried to deal with that and just let them go. In fact, I texted them last Sunday and just, told them a few things, said I hated to bother them, and then, to just forget it. They wouldn't hear from me again, and we talk when we get back. So you really try to do that. You try to do that, in the all season, but it does get harder because we, as soon as we get back in January, we're lifting in the mornings. We're, handling recruiting. We're doing a lot of different things. They're meeting, trying to decide, put playbooks together, et cetera, for the next year.
Now, as far as relaxation goes, I know a lot of coaches play golf. I think the only time I've seen you on a golf course is when it's for a fundraising event. So what's I think more likely on a boat. What's a summer day off look like for Danny Britt?
Yep, exactly. I'm not a big golfer. In fact, I had it on my to-do list to go buy and buy some used golf clubs. So I think I'm going to try to start back.
Okay.
But which I'm horrible, man. I'm horrible. But yeah, it's a boat. It's a boat for me. Steph loves the boat, and so we'll. In fact, we're probably going to go here in about 35 minutes, and
there you go,
and go jump on the boat and cruise around, and maybe have a few cold ones, and that's kind of me. Either a boat, cruising around on a golf cart, maybe going to a pool. That's me.
And Coach, of course, referring to icy cold Coca-Colas right there on the boat.
No doubt.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. We'll let you and Stephanie get out there, man. Always great catching up with you, and so excited for the season coming up.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate you.